I stood at my wedding reception watching my groom Henry give his speech when he said the words that made 150 guests go silent. Someone tried to tear us apart with manufactured lies and fake evidence designed to make me believe Brooke was unfaithful. The reception screen behind him lit up with side-by-side images. Fake photos showing me with another man, then the original Facebook photos from 2 years ago proving they'd been digitally altered. Then came the forensics report summary. Then security camera footage from a coffee shop showing my sister Tiffany at a laptop at the exact timestamp the anonymous email was sent. I watched her face drain of color from across the room. Her new boyfriend grabbed her arm demanding explanation as nearby tables went silent. She stammered something I couldn't hear and ran for the exit. My parents sat frozen at their table, surrounded by extended family who now knew exactly what Tiffany had done. If you have ever been betrayed by the people you trusted most, hit that subscribe button because this story gets worse before it gets better. 3 weeks before that wedding reception, I was working late at my nonprofit job finishing our quarterly report. My phone buzzed. "Henry." I smiled and answered. "Brooke, we need to talk tonight." His voice sounded strange, tight. Someone sent me something about you. Photos, messages. I don't know what to believe." My stomach dropped. "What? What are you talking about?" "Just come home. Please." I grabbed my bag and drove to our apartment with my mind racing. What photos? What messages? We'd been together 6 years. We were getting married in 3 weeks. What could anyone possibly send about me? Henry was sitting on the couch with his laptop when I walked in. He looked up, and I saw something in his face I'd never seen before. Doubt. "Show me," I said. He turned the screen toward me. Anonymous email. Subject line: "You deserve to know the truth about Brooke." I scrolled through and my hands started shaking. 4 photos of me with a man I'd never seen before, at a restaurant looking intimate, walking together holding coffee cups, embracing outside some building, sitting close on a park bench. They looked real. The lighting was right. Those were clothes I owned. That was my face. But I had never seen this man in my life. Then text message screenshots, flirty exchanges. "Can't wait to see you again," with a heart emoji. He doesn't understand me like you do. They had my name at the top and timestamps from the past 3 months. Then a message from someone named Jennifer Hayes claiming to be a mutual friend. "I've seen Brooke with this man at least 5 times in the past 2 months. I thought you should know." "Henry, I have no idea who this man is." My voice came out shaky. "I've never sent those texts. I don't know anyone named Jennifer Hayes. These photos, I don't understand how—" "That's your face, Brooke. Those are your clothes. How do I know you're telling the truth?" The question hit like a slap. But looking at those photos, I understood. If someone had shown me pictures of Henry with another woman, pictures that looked that real, I'd have questions too. "I need space to think," he said quietly. He started packing an overnight bag. "Henry, please. I'm staying at Dave's tonight. We'll talk tomorrow." He left. I sat on our couch staring at those photos on the screen, trying to understand how this was happening. The wedding was in 3 weeks. The venue was booked. The caterer was confirmed. Our families had plane tickets. And someone had just tried to destroy it all with lies I couldn't explain. I called my sister Tiffany, crying. She'd always been the one I turned to during hard times, even though our relationship had been complicated. For 9 years after her divorce when she was 19, I'd financially supported her while she found herself. Rent money, car payments, business loans she never repaid. The total was somewhere around $95,000 by the time I'd finally stopped. My parents had always encouraged it. "You're stable and responsible, Brooke. Tiffany is still fragile from her divorce trauma. She needs time." But she was my sister, and right now I needed family. She came over within an hour. She hugged me while I explained what happened. She made sympathetic sounds. Then she said something that struck me as odd. "You know, maybe it's for the best. You and Henry have been together 6 years, but you've had your problems." We hadn't had problems. We'd been solid, happy, planning a future together. "Maybe you two were rushing into marriage anyway," Tiffany continued. "Sometimes these things happen for a reason." I stared at her. "Tiffany, this is fake. Someone made this up. I didn't cheat. Of course. I'm just saying, maybe this is a sign. She squeezed my hand. If the wedding gets canceled, I can help you deal with vendors. I have all the contact information from when I was helping you coordinate. We can minimize the cancellation fees. Why was she talking about the wedding being canceled instead of how to save it? But I was too devastated to analyze. After she left, I lay awake all night trying to understand who would do this and why. The next morning, reality set in. The venue coordinator called asking if we were still proceeding with setup. I didn't have an answer. Henry still wasn't returning my calls. I couldn't just tell people the photos were fake. I had to prove it. I spent the afternoon researching. How to prove photos are fake. Digital forensics. Fake evidence analysis. I found a company called Truth Lens Digital Forensics in the next city over. Their services cost $3,500. That was nearly everything I had left in savings after wedding expenses. I booked the appointment anyway. I sent them every file from the email Henry had received. 5 days passed. 5 days of Henry staying at Dave's apartment, 5 days of me going to work and pretending everything was fine while my wedding hung in limbo, 5 days of my phone staying silent. Then David Park from Truth Lens Forensics sent me an email with a 12-page report attached. I opened it with my hands shaking. Page 1. Analysis of photographic evidence. The images show clear signs of digital manipulation. Brooke Anderson's face and body have been extracted from Facebook photographs posted approximately 2 years ago and composited into scenes with an unidentified male subject. My heart started pounding. Page 2. Comparison images. Side by side, the intimate restaurant photo next to my original Facebook photo from a work dinner in 2024. Different persons sitting across from me in the original. The lighting and angle slightly adjusted to hide the edit. Page 3. The man in the fabricated photos has been identified through reverse image search as Garrett Chen, Instagram user at garrett.chen.designs. According to public social media connections, Mr. Chen previously dated Tiffany Anderson from 2019 to 2021. Tiffany's ex-boyfriend. My stomach turned over. My breath caught. Page 7. Anonymous sender email analysis. Account truthyoudeserve.2026@gmail.com sent from IP address registered to Bean and Brew Coffee House, 2847 Riverside Drive, on Tuesday 3 weeks ago at 14:47 hours local time. They'd traced it to a specific coffee shop, a specific time. Page 8. Investigation findings. Truth Lens investigator visited Bean and Brew Coffee House. Owner provided security camera footage from the date and time in question. Subject visible in footage has been identified as Tiffany Anderson based on provided family photographs. Receipt record confirms purchase under name Tiffany Anderson at 14:38 hours, 9 minutes before email transmission. Everything stopped. I read it again and again. Tiffany. My sister had created fake photos using her ex-boyfriend's image and my Facebook pictures. She'd fabricated text messages on a website. She'd invented a fake person named Jennifer Hayes. She'd driven to a coffee shop 15 miles from her usual area and sent it all to Henry from a public Wi-Fi connection. My sister had tried to destroy my wedding. But why? I sat there in my apartment staring at page 9, which showed stills from the security footage. Clear as day. Tiffany sitting at a corner table with her laptop. Tiffany in the leather jacket she'd worn to Sunday family dinners. Tiffany with her blonde hair pulled back. Timestamp 14:47. The exact minute the email was sent. The forensics report included the video file. I watched it. Watched my sister type on her laptop. Watched her click her mouse. Watched her close the laptop 3 minutes later and leave. Then I thought about how she'd reacted when I called her crying. How quickly she'd suggested the wedding might be for the best. How she'd offered to help cancel vendors before Henry and I had even talked. How she'd had all the vendor contact information because I'd given it to her when she'd offered to help coordinate a month ago. A month ago. Right around when David Park's report said the fake photos had been created. I'd given her access. I'd given her Henry's phone number in case she needed to confirm something with vendors. I'd trusted her. And she'd used every bit of that trust to try to destroy the life I'd built. I forwarded the entire forensics report to Henry. Then I called him. I need you to come home right now. I need you to read something. And then I need you to help me decide what we're going to do about my sister. He came home. He read the report. He watched the security footage. His face went from confused to shocked to furious. She did this? Tiffany did this? Every bit of it. But why? You've supported her for years. You paid for, you gave her. He couldn't even finish the sentence. I don't know why, but I'm going to find out. Henry pulled me close. I'm so sorry I doubted you. I'm so sorry I... Don't. The photos looked real. Anyone would have had questions. I pulled back to look at him. But Henry, the wedding is in 2 weeks, and I need to decide something. Do we quietly proceed and pretend this never happened? Or do we make sure everyone knows exactly what she tried to do? He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, if we stay quiet, she'll tell people we excluded her. She'll play the victim. Everyone will think we're just being dramatic or holding some petty grudge. And if we expose her, then everyone sees the truth, and she faces real consequences for trying to destroy us. I thought about 9 years of supporting her, 9 years of my parents telling me to be patient, to be understanding, that Tiffany was fragile and needed help. 9 years of putting my own life on hold because family takes care of family. And she'd repaid me by creating an elaborate fraud to destroy my happiness. We expose her, I said, at the wedding, in front of everyone. Henry nodded. I'll handle it. The next 2 weeks were strange. We told our parents we'd worked through a misunderstanding and the wedding was back on. My mother cried with relief. My father said he'd known we'd figure it out. Tiffany called me the day after I'd gotten the forensics report. Hey, I just wanted to check in. How are you doing? Have you and Henry talked? I kept my voice steady. We're working through it. The wedding is still happening. A pause. Then, oh, that's great, Brooke. I'm so happy for you. She didn't sound happy. She sounded stressed. Will you still come? I asked. I'd really like you to be there. Another pause. Of course. I wouldn't miss it. Perfect. I invited her because I wanted her to be standing right there when everyone found out what she'd done. I wanted her to see the faces of everyone she'd smiled at and hugged at family dinners when they learned the truth. I wanted her to have nowhere to hide. The wedding day came. The ceremony was beautiful. Our families cried happy tears. Tiffany sat in the 3rd row looking tense but smiling when people looked her way. She'd brought a date, some new boyfriend named Kyle she'd been seeing for a month. The reception started. Dinner was served. Tiffany sat at a table with Kyle and a few of our cousins who didn't know what had happened. She laughed at someone's joke. She ate her chicken. She drank her wine. Then came the speeches. My father went first. Traditional father of the bride speech about watching me grow up and being proud of the woman I'd become. I watched Tiffany's face. She was smiling. She thought she'd gotten away with it. She thought the wedding happening meant I'd never found out it was her. Then Henry stood up. Thank you all for being here to celebrate with us, he began. Brooke and I are grateful to have so many people we love in this room. Normal groom speech. People smiled, clinked glasses. Then Henry's tone changed. Before we go any further, there's something important Brooke and I need to address. 3 weeks before our wedding, someone sent me fabricated evidence designed to make me believe Brooke was unfaithful. Fake photos, fake text messages, fake testimony from a fake person. The room went quiet. Forks stopped moving. Glasses stopped clinking. Tiffany's face went pale. Someone created this elaborate fraud for one reason, to destroy our relationship and stop this wedding from happening. They used digital manipulation software to create fake intimate photos. They used a website to generate fake text conversations. They invented a person who doesn't exist to claim they'd witnessed infidelity that never happened. Henry nodded to the AV technician. The screen behind him that had been showing our engagement photos went black. Then a new image appeared. Side-by-side comparison. The fake photos showing me close to a strange man at a restaurant. Next to it, my original Facebook photo from a work dinner 2 years ago with a different person across from me. Red arrows pointing to the digital alterations. A murmur went through the crowd. Next slide. The forensics report summary. Photos digitally manipulated, created 24 days ago. Text screenshots generated using faketextmaker.com website. Email account Jennifer Hayes created 4 days before evidence sent. No prior digital footprint. People were staring at the screen now. Someone whispered, "Who would do that?" Next slide. Security camera footage. Timestamp visible. A woman sitting at a laptop in a coffee shop. The image was clear. The face was unmistakable. It was Tiffany. Next slide. Credit card receipt. Tiffany Anderson, Bean and Brew Coffee House, 1438, Tuesday, October 10th. The exact date and location the email had been sent from. The murmur became louder. Heads turned, people looking at Tiffany's table. The person who did this, Henry said, used information and access given in trust to create this fraud. They had access to family photos. They had contact information given for the purpose of helping with wedding planning. They calculated exactly how to try to tear us apart. Henry didn't say her name. He didn't have to. 150 people were looking at the screen showing Tiffany's face, then looking at Tiffany's table where she was trying to stand up. Fortunately, Henry continued, truth always wins when you have proof. Digital forensics don't lie, and some people will do anything, including destroying family, for personal gain. Kyle grabbed Tiffany's arm. His voice carried in the silence. Wait. Is that you? In that footage? Oh my God, did you do this? Tiffany stammered something. It's not, this is... Other people at her table were staring at her. Our cousin Jennifer said, Tiffany, what the hell? Tiffany stood up fully and tried to walk toward the exit. Kyle stood too. Tiffany, answer me. Did you send him fake evidence? Did you try to stop their wedding? She kept walking. Kyle followed her out to the parking lot. Their raised voices carried back through the open door. By the time I got to the window, Kyle was getting in his car alone. Tiffany stood in the parking lot crying as he drove away. She was still standing there when an Uber pulled up 10 minutes later. Inside, my parents sat at their table looking shell-shocked. Extended family at surrounding tables were asking them what this was about. My mother's sister, my Aunt Linda, was saying, did Tiffany really do that? Did she really try to ruin Brooke's wedding? My parents had no answers. Henry and I had shown them the evidence 3 days before the wedding. We'd demanded they acknowledge what Tiffany had done. They'd been defensive at first. She made a terrible mistake, but she's your sister. Family should forgive. A mistake? As if this had been an accident. As if Tiffany had tripped and fallen and somehow accidentally created fake photos, fake texts, a fake email account, driven to a coffee shop 15 miles away, and sent it all anonymously to my fiancé. Now they were sitting at their table surrounded by family members who just witnessed the truth displayed on a screen. There was no defending this. There was no explaining it away as a misunderstanding. The reception continued, but the energy had shifted. People kept glancing at my parents' table. People kept talking in low voices. Our friends from work who didn't know the family history asked what that had all been about. Word spread quickly. The next day, my mother called. Brooke, we need to talk about what happened at the reception. Did you really have to do that in front of everyone? Did you have to humiliate your sister like that? Did I have to expose the truth about what she did? Yes, I did. She made a mistake. Stop calling it a mistake. Mistakes are accidental. This was fraud. This was calculated. She spent weeks creating fake evidence to destroy my relationship. She's your sister. She tried to destroy my wedding. Why? That's what I want to know. Why did she do this? My mother was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that made everything click into place. 3 months ago, Tiffany asked your father and me for a loan. $50,000. She wanted to open another business. We told her no. We told her we had $200,000 in savings, but we'd promised you $100,000 as a wedding gift for a down payment on a house. We told her we couldn't give her money right now. Everything stopped. You were giving us $100,000? We'd been planning to tell you after the wedding. It was going to be a surprise. But Tiffany had known. Tiffany had asked for money and been told no because the money was earmarked for me, for my wedding gift, for my future. And she'd decided if she couldn't have it, I shouldn't either. If my wedding was canceled, the gift wouldn't be given. The money would stay with my parents. And Tiffany would go back to them and ask again. You have the money available now. Brooke doesn't need it anymore. Please help me. She'd tried to destroy my happiness for $100,000 she wasn't even entitled to. She tried to ruin my wedding because you were going to give me money, I said. She tried to destroy my relationship and my reputation because she was jealous I was getting something she wasn't. Brooke, she's in a difficult place financially. I don't care. For 9 years, I supported her financially. I gave her $95,000. I paid her rent and her car and her business loans that she never repaid. I put my own life on hold because you told me she needed help, and she repaid me by creating an elaborate fraud to steal my future. She's still your sister. Family forgives. No, I'm done. I'm done making excuses for her. I'm done putting her needs ahead of my own. I'm done being the reliable one who sacrifices while she's the fragile one who gets endless second chances. You're really going to cut her off? I'm going to protect my family. My real family. Henry and I are expecting our first baby. Did you know that? I'm 10 weeks pregnant. And my child will not grow up watching their mother be used and betrayed by someone who claims to love her. My mother gasped. You're pregnant? Brooke, that's wonderful. Don't pretend you care about my happiness when you've spent 2 weeks trying to make me forgive the person who tried to destroy it. You have a choice, Mom. You can have a relationship with both of your daughters, but separately. I will not attend any event where Tiffany is present. If that's not acceptable to you, then I guess you've made your choice. I hung up. 2 months later, my mother called again. Tiffany wants to apologize. She wants to talk to you. I don't want to hear it. She says she made a mistake in a moment of panic. It wasn't a moment. It was weeks of planning. It was creating fake photos. It was driving to a coffee shop miles away to cover her tracks. It was calculated fraud, Mom. There's no forgiving that. Please, Brooke, for family. For family? For 9 years, I sacrificed for family. I gave Tiffany almost $100,000 and endless support. And she tried to destroy my happiness so she could manipulate you into giving her my wedding gift money. That's not family. That's a con artist. My mother started crying. I'm sorry you're upset, I said, but I choose to protect the family I'm building with Henry. You chose to enable Tiffany for 30 years. Live with that choice. 6 months later, Henry and I celebrated our first anniversary. We'd bought a small house using the $100,000 gift my parents gave us after all. They'd presented it the week after the wedding, I think partly out of guilt. My mother texted occasionally, asking if I wanted to have dinner and heal as family. I maintained my boundary. No events with Tiffany present. My parents could have relationships with both of us, but separately. My father visited once to see the house. He seemed proud, but sad. He asked if I'd ever consider reconciliation with Tiffany. Has she paid back any of the $95,000 she owes me? I asked. She's working part-time retail. She doesn't have... Has she taken any responsibility beyond saying it was a mistake? He was quiet. Has she explained why she thought it was acceptable to try to destroy my wedding for money? She says she wasn't thinking clearly. She says she panicked about her financial situation. So panicked that she spent weeks carefully creating fake evidence and covering her digital tracks. That's not panic. That's premeditation. My father left without pushing further. I heard through my Aunt Linda that Tiffany was still living in the apartment my parents were now paying for after I'd cut off financial support. She was working at a mall boutique. She'd had trouble maintaining relationships. Word had spread in our extended social circle about what she'd done. Apparently being known as the woman who tried to sabotage her sister's wedding with fake evidence wasn't great for dating. I felt no sympathy. Henry and I built a life with friends from his engineering firm and colleagues from my nonprofit work. People who valued loyalty and honesty. People who didn't believe family meant accepting abuse and calling it love. I got promoted to senior program manager at work. Finally had mental space to focus on my career instead of constantly worrying about Tiffany's next crisis. Turned out when you're not supporting a manipulative family member emotionally and financially, you have a lot more energy for your own life. Our daughter was born beautiful and healthy. My parents asked to visit. I said yes, but made it clear. No bringing Tiffany. No asking me to let Tiffany meet the baby. No trying to manipulate me into reconciliation so the baby can know her aunt. My daughter will know people who love and support our family, I told my mother. Tiffany tried to destroy her parents' marriage before she was even born. She's not family. She's a threat. My mother cried, but accepted the boundary. Sometimes late at night while feeding my daughter, I thought about everything that had happened. 9 years of sacrifice, $95,000, endless emotional support and encouragement. All those times my parents had told me to be patient, to be understanding, to help my struggling sister. And Tiffany had seen all of that love and support as weakness to exploit. But I'd learned something important. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up for you when it matters. It's about who celebrates your happiness instead of trying to destroy it. It's about who you can trust with the most important parts of your life. Henry had shown up for me. When he got that fake evidence, he'd had questions, but he'd been willing to listen. He'd been willing to investigate. And when the truth came out, he'd stood beside me and helped expose what Tiffany had done. That was family. My real family was sleeping in the nursery down the hall and sitting on the couch reading case studies for work. My real family was the friends who'd surrounded us at that wedding and gasped in horror when they saw what Tiffany had tried to do. My real family was my Aunt Linda, who'd called me the day after the wedding and said, "I'm so sorry. I always knew your parents favored Tiffany, but I never realized how bad it was. You deserved better." I did deserve better, and I'd finally built it. Sometimes I wondered if Tiffany ever really understood what she'd done, if she ever grasped that she'd traded a relationship with her sister and any chance at knowing her niece for $100,000 she wasn't even entitled to. If she ever lay awake at night realizing that all the years I'd supported her meant nothing compared to her jealousy over money. But honestly, I didn't wonder that often, because I'd spent 9 years putting Tiffany's well-being ahead of my own. 9 years trying to help her, support her, believe in her potential. 9 years of being the responsible, reliable sister while she played the fragile victim. I was done. My mother sent a text last month. "Tiffany is asking if she can send a gift for the baby. Can I give her your address?" I didn't respond. A week later, my mother called. "Please, Brooke, she's your sister. Don't you think enough time has passed?" "Time doesn't erase what she did, Mom. She tried to destroy my wedding with fabricated evidence because you were going to give me money. She saw my happiness as something to destroy for her financial gain. That's not a person I want in my life or around my daughter. She's family. No, she's a DNA relative. Family is the people who support you, celebrate with you, and protect what matters to you. Tiffany tried to destroy what mattered to me. She made her choice. I'm making mine. What am I supposed to tell her? Tell her the truth. Tell her there are consequences for trying to ruin someone's life. Tell her some betrayals can't be fixed with an apology. Tell her I'm happy, I'm thriving, and I've built a beautiful life without her in it." I hung up and looked at my daughter sleeping in her crib. She'd never know the aunt who'd tried to destroy her parents' marriage. She'd grow up seeing healthy relationships built on trust and respect. She'd learn that family means protecting the people you love, not exploiting them. And she'd know that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away from people who hurt you, even if you share blood, especially if you share blood. Because I'd learned the hard way that the people who know you best can hurt you worst. The people who have access to your trust and your vulnerability can weaponize it if they choose. And sometimes loving someone means recognizing when they've become toxic and choosing to protect yourself instead. My wedding reception had ended with my sister running away in an Uber after her boyfriend dumped her in the parking lot, extended family members whispering about what they'd just witnessed, my parents sitting in silence surrounded by relatives asking questions they couldn't answer. But it had also ended with Henry and me dancing our first dance as husband and wife, with friends hugging us and telling us we'd handled it perfectly, with my Aunt Linda pulling me aside and saying, "I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself." That night, after all the guests had left and we were alone in our hotel room, Henry pulled me close. "Are you okay?" he asked, with how everything played out. "I'm better than okay. For the first time in 9 years, I feel free." And I was. Free from the obligation to fix my sister's problems. Free from the guilt my parents had used to keep me sacrificing. Free from the belief that family means accepting abuse and calling it love. I'd built something better. I'd built a life where my partner believed me when I said I was innocent. Where friends celebrated my happiness instead of trying to destroy it. Where boundaries were respected and consequences existed for betrayal. I'd built a life where fake evidence couldn't win over truth. And that life was mine. Not because of the family I was born into, but because of the family I chose and the family Henry and I created together. That was the real victory. Not the wedding reception where everyone saw Tiffany's betrayal exposed, not the forensics report proving what she'd done, not even watching her boyfriend dump her and drive away. The real victory was being free. Free to be happy without waiting for the next crisis. Free to build a future without supporting someone who saw my love as weakness. Free to raise my daughter in a home where loyalty and honesty mattered more than blood relations. I'd spent 9 years believing that family meant sacrifice. That being the strong one meant always putting others first. That loving someone meant accepting whatever they did because they were struggling. But I'd learned something better. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is choose yourself. Sometimes love means walking away from people who hurt you. Sometimes family is something you build, not something you're born into. And sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living well. Henry and I celebrated our 2nd anniversary last month with our daughter between us and our new home around us and our real family, the chosen one, supporting us. We laughed and ate cake and didn't think about Tiffany even once, because she didn't matter anymore. She'd tried to destroy what we built. She'd failed, and we'd moved on without her. That was enough.